So this is kind of a follow-up to the little video we did about our worm bins. I made the comment that probably going to need to put another tier on them, and anyways, we checked them last night, and yep, they are in need of another tier. So I've already got one done up. Basically just the bucket, and you can see the bottom. So what those are, we just take a 1/4-inch drill bit, and it doesn't have to be perfect, I just kind of do it in a spiral pattern, and drill these in, so this is where the worms can come up through. And then on the side, it's a little harder to see, we've got a series of, they're kind of ventilation holes. These ones will definitely be up above, because they're, obviously if they sit down in, that'll be above the bucket that this is inside of, but these still help give air circulation through the whole bucket. So basically that's as complicated as it is, and this really isn't an exact science. I just kind of mark it up, something like that. Freehand is fine because nobody's going to see this except the worms. Well, they're not going to see it, but they're not going to care. As long as they can get from one bucket to the next. We're ready to drill our bucket. So there's the bottom drilled. And now it's time to do the side. So that's a 1/8 size. That's what we usually do for the smaller holes. And again, I just draw them on for simplicity's sake. This is again not an exact science. I only go about partway down, because then if this fills with your worm compost, it's not a big deal. Something like that. And then I usually go back and so time to drill these. As I said, that's a 1/8 size drill bit for these smaller ones. And again, not an exact science. The only tip I would give would be not to push too hard. Kind of let the drill bit do most of the work, because you can split them, but it doesn't happen very often, but I have done that in the past. So our two new tiers for our two little worm towers are done. We've got both the bottoms done and the side ventilation, etc. So these are ready to go in, and we'll... So we're back in the house, and I just moved these over by the window so they could be a little more visible, a little bit better lighting, but we do keep them inside, but we don't leave them right by the window because they would overheat. But I wanted to show, because you can kind of see it, the liquid in the bottom that they've generated already. The last video we did in the worms was about a week and a half ago, give or take, and something we kind of noticed at that point, and we've noticed since, is they've really gone into sort of super drive as far as the amount they're consuming. And they've also, you can see there's the top of the black line for the worm tea, so they're producing. So I'm going to go ahead and collect that out, and then we'll put the next tier on. So there's our worm tea from both bins that we kind of collected. So I'm going to put that aside, and we're probably going to use that to water some seedlings we've got going for some fall planting. But basically we're going to get another tier on here. So I'm just going to take this off, and you can see when I pull this out, they've really worked. There's quite a few worms in there. They really worked on that material. It's kind of all broken down to just about nothing. One thing we were, I've got cat helpers, all three. We were grinding a lot of things up for them when we first got them, which I think maybe helped a little bit in them kind of establishing their numbers, just making it easier for them. But they're pretty much grinding stuff up on their own. So it's basically as simple as that. We just place the next tier. You can see the holes in the bottom, and you can also see on the side. This is a good example. So here's the bottom bucket. Oh, here's the bottom bucket, and then here's the second bucket, which is got a different size hole in the bottom so the worms don't fall through. I forget what size it is right now, but I think it might actually be the 1/8 inch holes, the same as the vents, just to try to keep them from going down into the liquid. So then that's bucket 1, and then bucket 2 and 3 are basically identical of each other. So the plan is we'll start feeding in this bucket, and you can see when we pulled back the paper there, and more cat helpers. Not particularly helpful, but when we pulled back the paper there was quite a few worms in that top tier. So the plan is, maybe give them a week or so, and then we'll probably take the 2 top ones out and see what's in the bottom tier, and probably dump that out and basically dry it out for potting soil for our seedlings for next spring. This is a great way to sort of make your own potting soil from waste, so, or at least for seedling trays and that sort of thing. But anyways, go ahead here and switch this lid back for a moment. Take a look at bin number 2. So you can see they haven't broke everything down quite as much, but they've still done a pretty good number. There's still quite a few of them in there. Oh yeah, there's lots of them in there. Not sure how well you can see that, but they're really breaking this down into a nice fine material. So I'll just kind of flatten that back out, and we'll grab our other bucket here and just put it in. And I'm not pushing it down, it's just kind of sitting there under its own weight. But there's kind of the 2 towers. So I'm going to go and get some food for the worms, and so ready to fill some stuff up. We've got quite a few odds and ends to put in here, mostly from some of the canning and other various vegetable prep we've been doing. And we've got our leaves, so I'm going to put, just to mix it up a little bit, I'm going to put a little bit of leaves in the bottom of each one. Probably don't need to do it this way, but that'll be a good brown matter. So there's kind of our layered mix of vegetable scraps from the kitchen and leaves. I'm going to go ahead and put one more layer of leaves on top, just to make sure there's ample brown matter for them. So that's it. That's our third layer to our 2 worm bins. We'll come back in a few weeks and see how they're doing.